In Bitwig Studio 4.1, it is enough to play one note on the keyboard. The rest is done by the note FX, or I would call it the MIDI effects. The note effects have been around for a long time in Bitwig Studio, but in the version 4.1 there are a lot of new great note FX, and you can really get creative with them. My name is Thomas Foster, and in this video we take a closer look to the MIDI effects. Great to have you here. Have fun! I've here something that I would call a plucked sound. It's a poly synth, and now I click here on this plus to load a note FX, and one of the new one is called Ricochet. With a Ricochet, if you press a note, you can start a ball, and as long as you hold down the note, the ball is jumping around, and whenever it's coming to the wall, we hear a new note. How fast this is happening, you can say here's the ball speed at the right slider here, the third yellow slider is the ball speed, and you can damp it. That's the ball damping here. So without ball damping, it always goes like this, and with ball damping, every time it's coming to the wall, it's getting slower and slower and slower. And we also can create here some other things. For example, you can shape the room. This is the room sides. So we have here triangle, a square, and you can turn around this here, the rotation of the square or of the room, right? There are a lot of things you can do. Let's make it a little faster, because it's very interesting to see what is happening if we have more than one note. I could play many notes on my keyboard, but for you to better understand what I'm doing, I use another note FX called the multi-note. Let's turn the Ricochet off for a moment. With the multi-note, I can add some notes. So at the moment, I have just one note, and now I add another note with the pitch plus 12. So we have an octave now. We also can say, and that's new in 4.1, the chance. So if we say we want to hear the second note, the octave, or maybe we take the fifth, plus 7, just for 50%, chance 50%, so we just hear it to 50%. Okay, let's make it 100. We have plus 7, and let's listen to this with a Ricochet. Maybe we make it a little slower. Let's add an octave, a small third, and a low octave. If this is too crazy for you, we can add another note FX called the Quantize, because there you can quantize incoming notes. So here you can set the interval. For example, let's go to 16th notes, and let's hear some metronome. All right, and here you can say if you want to quantize it and how strong. So if I give this to 100%, it's like the income without quantization. The more I go to 0, the more quantization we hear. But maybe you want the opposite. Maybe you have something that is perfect in time and you want to humanize it. For this we have the Humanize note FX. So the most important here is the timing. If the timing slider is on the left side, everything stays exactly the same. The more you go to the right, the more you humanize the timing of your incoming notes. Let's listen to this. Here's a button. With this button you allow earlier notes. You also can randomize the velocity. And you can add a chance. So if the chance is just 10%, just 10% of the notes are going through. So let's listen without and with it. A great effect to have fun and also very useful. I really love the new Note FX called Dribble. And this is like a ball that is bouncing. So whenever I press a note, I hear this bouncing ball getting faster and getting down in the velocity until it's done. And here you have a slider called damping. Without damping, it sounds like this. So it does not stop until you hold down the note, but you also can make the damping like 90%. Then it's done very fast. The timing you can set in milliseconds. This is the first bounce in milliseconds. So at the moment it's 300, or let's go up to 600, yeah, 800. Or you can make it in notes. This is 4/16, means a quarter note. Let's listen to this. Or we can go up to 8/16. That's a half note. 1, 2. Yeah, for me it's a little bit faster, but maybe that's the reason because it's called the first bounce. The next tool really is amazing. Maybe one of the best tools ever. And it's really simple. To demonstrate this, I load the arpeggiator. So with the arpeggiator, I can just play one note and hear it in 16th, or let's go down to 8th notes. And now we load the randomize. To activate a parameter, you click on it to make it orange. Let's start with the pitch. So with the pitch, I can say, let's randomize the pitch 1 octave. Let's go down to just a half note. So now we basically hear 2 notes. The A that I'm sending in, and the B 1 half note higher. But what's about the notes in between? I would call it the micro tune, the micro notes. You hear them if you give away here this pitch randomize quantized. So now we hear the notes within between. And this is pretty crazy. At the moment we're just pitching up. We also can pitch down if we click here on this plus minus button. And we can randomize the velocity, the panning. What is crazy, because normally you cannot give a MIDI note the information to pan a sound. So this is pretty cool. And the gain. I love this feature. But very special is timbre and pressure. And if you think about it, you could use this feature every day. You will love it. So let's activate timbre and go to 100%. So now the timbre is variating. And now we click here on the modulators. Here we see the timbre and the pressure. I double click here to see my synthesizer. And now I say with the timbre, I want to automate the filter. And now listen to it. And with the pressure, I want to automate the... Why don't we use the decay time? Maybe we go down a little bit with the decay time. And now let's activate. Now here some notes are short, some are long. To demonstrate you the next note FX, let's load again the multi-note. Let's add a low third here. So without the multi-note, I'm just playing one note, but with this, we hear the full chord. And now let's load the strum. The strum is like a guitar player would play it. A guitar player would play a chord, not all notes at the same time, or notes at the same time. He would play note by note like this. Or maybe a little bit faster. Let's go to milliseconds and let's go to 22 milliseconds. Or a little bit slower, 50 milliseconds. Pretty cool, right? You also can set it in 16 notes. With a double click, you go here to 1 to have exactly 16 notes. If you go up to 2, it's slower, so it's like 8 notes. Yeah. And you can, at the moment we hear it from the lowest note to the highest note, but you also can play it down. It means we begin with the higher note. Or you can set many steps. I set now all 4 steps, and they play 2 times down and 2 times up. Up, up, down. Okay, let's go to up again, 1 step. Here we have stride. At the moment stride is 1, so if we have 5 notes, we hear note by note, means 5 notes. If we go to 2, we hear first the first 2 notes, then the next 2 notes. So always 2 at the same time. Or 3 at the same time. So let's add some more notes to have a little bit more fun. Also the next one is pretty amazing. It's called the bend. And like a guitar player, you can bend a note. For this, let's make the sound a little longer, all right? And now let's bend it from 24, that are exactly 2 octaves, down over a half second, 500 milliseconds. And the faster you do it, the more it's just a click at the beginning of the sound that makes a harder attack at the sound. So that's like a bass drum. A bass drum at the end is nothing else than a sinus. The electronic bass drum is nothing else than a sinus that goes very fast down over 2 or 3 octaves. And that's why we have this click here. But we also can go up. And maybe you just use it at some notes. You can automate here the on-off function. Yeah, pretty amazing. Let's listen to it with the arpeggiator. And now let's go here to 0. Reminds me to my Amiga in the 80s. The next one is called Note Repeat, Note Repeats, and it's a good alternative to the arpeggiator. So I click on a note, and it's repeating the note in 16th. Let's listen to the metronome. Yeah, and I can set the gate to make the notes shorter. I can use the decay to bring the velocity of the repeatings a little bit down. or up. And for sure I can set the tempo, I can set it to 8/16, I can set quarter notes, triples, I can set it in milliseconds. Everything is possible here. Also very interesting is the possibility to set here the chance to 50%, for example. Or we go back up to 100% burst. With burst you can say, I want of 16 notes, I just want to hear the first 50%, means the first 8. You can set accents. Let's go here up to 100%. You can rotate this, so the louder notes are not in the beginning. But I like the Euclid mode. That's crazy, isn't it? With the density, you can reduce the number of notes. So this is really great to have fun. Oh, I still have one more thing. If you like producing music like me, then you probably know the problem of finding good drum and percussion sounds. Those who came with the music program do not sound right, and on all internet sites where you would get the really good stuff, you pay a fortune. On all? No, not really. There's a webpage in whose development I'm involved. MUGENT.com. MUGENT is written with M-U-G-E-N-T and it comes from musically intelligent. MUGENT. You can find drum beats that sounds exactly like what you hear in the charts or in the big clubs in Ibiza, Miami or Berlin. The webpage reminds a little bit of Google. You can just use the text search, get immediately results you can listen to and download for free, or you can use the menus with which you can narrow down the search. On MUGENT you can find drum sounds to every genre, music loops, so complete beats, percussion single sounds and loops, cool bass riffs, funky brass and synth riffs, guitars, and all sorts of sound effects, from birds to cars, from the sound of the sea to helicopters. With me, there is no more production where I didn't use the sounds from MUGENT.com. Take a look, you will love it. My name is Thomas Foster. Thanks for following. Always stay creative. Cheers.